Hey there, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to get capital for real estate investing. So you're looking for capital to buy your next real estate investment property? Well, look no further. That's what we're going to be talking about here today. We're going to look at different sources of capital, traditional financing, creative financing, private financing, joint venture partners, you name it. That's what we're going to be talking about here today, so stay tuned. All right, so first things first when it comes to getting capital for your real estate deals, you need to take a good, cold, hard look at your current financial situation, your qualifying, your credit worthiness, that sort of thing. So a lot of us don't like to do this, especially if you're self-employed, especially if you've had a few hiccups in the past, but it's really, really important that you know exactly where you're starting from. So I highly recommend, if you don't know how to do this or you don't want to do this yourself, work with a mortgage broker and ask them to see if you can pre-qualify for financing. They're going to put you through a little bit of a financial proctology exam that might be a little bit invasive and painful to do, but it's going to pay off big dividends. You might not even like the results, you might not like the answers, but you need to know exactly where you stand today when it comes to qualifying for financing. So do that first, see where you're at, take a look at your credit score, take a look at your debt service ratio, take a look at how much you owe versus how much is coming in, and have a good idea of where you stand. That's the first place you want to start. All right, so the next thing you want to do when it comes to finding capital for your deals is let's look at traditional options first, the big banks. Why do we want to do that? Because typically that's the cheapest source of capital you're ever going to find. The challenge is they're the ones that are going to look hardest at your personal situation, your credit worthiness. So again, that's why we did the exercise in the first part, is to get properly set up for potentially qualifying for financing through a traditional lender like a bank or a credit union. So check those guys out first because they're going to give you the cheapest financing you can get. Now you might be saying, well, Dave, you know, if I could just walk into a bank and get financing, I wouldn't be looking at this video. Fair enough. All right, so the next thing you want to do, if you know for sure that you're not going to qualify for the big banks or you don't have the money for the down payment, is to look at alternative sources, so non-traditional sources. So this could be hard money lenders. Hard money lenders are folks that make a business of loaning real estate investors money for real estate deals. So you can look at what are their criteria, who is available in your area. You could also look at private lenders. What's the difference between a private lender and a hard money lender? Well, hard money lenders tend to do this as their primary business, and private lenders kind of do this on the side, or they're people that are already in your sphere of influence that don't even know about lending but like the idea of being the bank. So the big advantage of working with these kind of folks is they tend to be a lot more flexible, a lot less invasive, trying to look at what your current financial situation is, and compared to hard money lenders, a lot less expensive as well. So those are a couple of choices there. You can also start taking a look at creative type ways of getting into real estate. So owner financing is one of the favorite ways a lot of people do creatively. They find somebody who owns a property outright and shows them the big benefits of selling them the property and keeping the mortgage themselves so that they get their money over time instead of one big lump sum that they might get taxed too heavily on. So that's an option there. You could look at getting into deals creatively in the way of rent to own or lease option type deals or agreements for sale or these kind of things. Take a look around. If you're not familiar with how that stuff works, we've got some videos about that. You can check those above, or you can attend your local RIA or Real Estate Investment Club meeting and ask other people in your area who's doing the creative deals and find out what works for your specific area. Another thing you can look at is maybe you've got access to capital yourself and you're just not aware of it. So for example, if you've owned your own home, your primary residence for a length of time, chances are you've got some equity there. So if you've got a chunk of equity, you could probably go to your bank and get a home equity line of credit. Good news there is you don't pay anything for that until you start using it, but you've got the cash available to you to take a leap and jump on a deal very quickly. So maybe get yourself set up with a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. If you don't have your own home, maybe your parents or a sibling or a good friend, maybe they've got equity in their home and you can arrange some sort of a deal to access their equity and and pay them nicely for that. Or maybe you've got a retirement savings account, like a 401k or a IRA, a Roth, a RSP if you're in Canada. Maybe you can turn that into funds for your deals. So in the States, there's a lot more flexibility around that. In Canada, it's a little bit tighter, the rules and regulations. Typically, it's only for your own home if you're a first-time home buyer. But you can always do a swap with another person. You can loan them your money from your RSP or your IRA, and they can loan you theirs. You can kind of do a swap that way, and each of you can invest in a deal that way. So look outside of the box. Take a look at other sources of capital that you might already have available to you. And last but definitely not least, when it comes to accessing capital to grow your real estate portfolio, you can be looking at other people's money. That's what my whole business is about. That's what we work with, is we work with real estate investors and help them access private capital. So what does that look like? That looks like finding joint venture partners or private lenders from within your network and getting them to provide you with the capital typically for the down payment and perhaps for the renovations of the properties that you're going to be buying. This is the ultimate shortcut to getting from where you are to where you want to be with your real estate investing business. It reminds me of a great story of one of our clients. Her name is July. And July has been investing in real estate since, I believe, 2001. And when she got started, she was really behind the ball. I mean, she'd just gone through a divorce. She'd just gone through a bankruptcy. She just lost her job. She had to move back in with her parents. I mean, this was the ultimate financial disaster for a person, but she started getting educated about real estate investing, and she took massive action. And I believe for her first little condominium investment, she pulled together a whole bunch of dribs and drabs of money from friends and family. And I think she ended up working with 6 or 7 people to get that first chunk of capital for her first investment. But from there, she just kind of kept going, dialed in her processes, and she ended up within about 10 or 12 years going from there to having over 500 units in her real estate investment portfolio. She started buying multifamily properties. And then, I think it was 10 or 15 years in, she cashed everything out and sailed off into the financial sunset. She's now back into real estate investing, raising capital, and starting to do development deals. But it all started by accessing other people's money. Speaking of accessing other people's money, if you'd like to get results kind of like what July did, then I've got a great resource for you. It's my book, The Money Partner Formula. Go ahead, get a free copy. Just click on the link in the description below or go to investorattractionbook.com. I'll send you a PDF version in exchange for your name and your email address. And this is going to walk you through the exact process that July went through to raise 6 figures in a matter of weeks, and then eventually 7 figures in a matter of months. And you can do the same thing.